Live from the 607 is the world-famous Ocho Duro Parlay Hour, where we're talking sports, locally, nationally. Hit us up on the social media, hashtag ODPH, because I'm looking at my clock, and right now it's about time to start the show. And welcome back to another edition of the Ocho Duro Parlay Hour, hashtag ODPH if you're on the social media. I am your host, Ken M. To the left of me, as always, sound guy galore, JR.
Oh, you know I'm right here.
Now, the rest of the panel is not here for various reasons. Padawan Jay is at his other job, so he is unfortunately going to be missing this week. And Coach Duffy is doing the actual coaching thing, or he might be celebrating what happened in New York. Not with the Yanks, because we have a special guest coming on later to talk about that. Mike C. from I Am Horror, if you listen to the Entertainment Edition. If not, the episode is still up for download. But the Giants made some moves today that I think the coach is very, very extremely happy about. And I'm sure he's going to be blogging or, I don't know, but you'll definitely be hearing about it one way or another.
He may be on the level of your Phil Jackson excitement.
Yes, he might have actually topped it. So we will see as soon as we can get a hold of the coach what he can do, but I know he is at some venue coaching and doing that. So he's not here, but in their absence, like I said, we have a special guest coming up next segment, but first and foremost, finally making his first appearance on the panel. If you've seen our t-shirts or clothing line around town or on social media, there is one man that is responsible for it. He is a friend of the show, creative consultant, I guess we could refer to him as. He is the CEO, the one and only of Thirsty Threads, Inc. Let us give a nice ODPH welcome to Frederick Theodore.
Thank you, guys. It's really great to be here. It's long overdue.
Yeah, absolutely. Fred's been with us since day one of the whole ODPH movement, I guess we could call it.
Yes.
And this is the first time that his busy, did I say busy? Because I meant busy, schedule has allowed him to crash this panel. So we decided to bring him on, and no way we can start the show other than going over locks and leaps. And Frederick came in the door kicking with the, dare I say, one of the gutsiest locks of the week.
Yeah, I'd say so.
Picking the 49ers over the Chicago Bears.
That is so stupid, man. I gave Pad that same crap because he picked them too.
As his lock?
Yeah. No, it was his leap. It was a bull leap because I told him that was supposed to happen last week, but they weren't smart enough to make the switch.
No.
So stupid.
Yes, but Fred, why don't you break that down for our listeners, your lock? And, what was your thinking behind this? Because it was one thing to take it as a leap, but you said, no, lock that in.
Just Jimmy Garoppolo. He's the real deal. You know, he had 3 years behind Bill Belichick and Tom Brady. I mean, who else are you going to learn from? You know, he's a leader, and he's young. His game was a little rusty at first, but he finished strong. He took the team down the field and let the kicker do his job, and they won the game as time expired.
I gotta say, I was not predicting them winning, and when I read that was your lock, I was like, wow, either Fred's going to come in looking like a genius, or I don't know. But I give you props on that because I did not see that one happen. Jay?
Oh, I did. It was ridiculous. They should have done it last week. The Niners could actually be making progress in their division and giving their fans something to cheer for because we discussed it. When they brought him in against Seattle, they're getting blown out. He goes right down the field, scores a touchdown, doesn't have an incompletion. Granted, it was 2 for 2. I'm just saying. Should have made the move sooner, but
we discussed that last week. But, yeah, no, you're right. And now with the Niners, yeah, we'll see what happens. Great pick for that, Fred. Who is your leap?
My leap is the Bengals tonight over the Steelers.
Ooh. As we're taping Monday night, so you got to break this down. You think Cincinnati is going to beat Pittsburgh?
Yeah, it's a rivalry game. You know, they always play tough. And, it is what it is. And hopefully they can get the win tonight.
It's going to be a tough one, like you said. It's a rivalry game. It's kind of like the Boston Red Sox and New York Yankees, maybe to a little lesser degree. But it's definitely going to be a heated rivalry. I mean, I know they've had some very noteworthy games past couple seasons, especially in the playoffs, if I'm not mistaken. And it's always going to be a fun one to watch. You know it's going to be a hard hit, and that whole AFC North, is definitely a hard-hitting division, and I don't think they take anything for granted over there. So we'll see what happens tonight. Like I said, we were taping on Monday night. JR, how was your locks and leaps this week?
Pretty bad, actually. 0 for 2. Took a couple huge leaps. One was more or less a stab at the coach, because that's what I've been notorious to do. I got Pat really fired up about the Denver pick, which didn't go so good, but it keeps the listeners coming back. So my lock was actually the Browns on the road, because I gave the in case you forgot moment that they did win their only. Actually, it took till week 16 last year to beat the Chargers. So I thought, what the hell? You take them again against the Chargers to get the win, and nope. We're still on the offer, so we'll see.
They were hanging tough in the first half. Josh Gordon came back, made his presence felt, and just Phillip Rivers and company is playing a really high level right now. They're making a good run, especially with Kansas City now faltering.
That division is a joke.
Yeah, but they're taking full advantage of it now.
The fact that Denver at 3-9 statistically could still win that division is a joke.
Oh, true.
Terrible. There's 3 teams at 6-6. Anyway.
No, it's going to be
ridiculous.
It's going to be one that is going to be literally decided week 17, in my opinion. You don't know what you're going to get out of all 3 of the top teams in that division.
Well, the Jets prove that.
Absolutely.
Oh my God.
The Jets pulling a stunner out there, but Kansas City has been on a free fall after starting the season so hot.
And as we talked with Oakland, I picked them to go to the Super Bowl, the wildly inconsistent team that they are. They finally discovered there's this guy, you may have heard of him, Marshawn Lynch. He's actually pretty damn good if you use him right. And helping my fantasy team out too, finally.
And look what happens. That was my lock this week. But before I get going on that, so your leap was this week?
So my leap was the Giants. I was actually pleasantly surprised because I picked them as my leap thinking there wasn't a shot in you-know-where that they were actually going to come close. And the fact they did scared me because that was really bad because I was like, oh, shoot, you know what? If they win, McAdoo may actually save his job because then he could just laugh at everybody with middle fingers flying like, I told you we had to bench Eli, and then it'd be like, oh, God. And it would be like a spiral of the coach's emotions just out of control.
Exploding.
Everybody in New York would be so pissed. And the fact that they were down by 7, and I'm like, oh, man, like Geno has a chance to win this game. I'm like, oh, God, this is going to be really bad. They can get this even to overtime. And the fact that they only lost by 7 is really bad reflection on both Oakland and, the whole Eli Manning thing. It's like, shoot, I mean, I know some crazy things happened in New York, but
crazy things happened the minute the team got back. Ben McAdoo was fired, so was Jerry Reese as GM.
The coach is really choked up about it, too.
The coach...
He texted us, and he sent the crying emojis. I couldn't tell if they were laughing cries or if they were just cries, but I guess we'll have to wait and hear from the coach.
If we don't hear from the coach, I'll call a lock for the week. Expect to see probably one of the most interesting blogs you have seen on our website.
Oh, for sure.
Going forward.
Let's just hope that the Giants game actually is the game of the week, because we may see Coach actually at that game.
Yes.
Rioting with the other people in New York going, finally!
Yeah.
Why did you ruin his streak? It shouldn't have been ruined.
I don't even understand that. As we discussed last week, how you can sit him and the streak is going on. He's kind of earned the right that even as the team has been playing bad, and it's not all on him,
right? You
can't sit him.
Oh, no. Not at all.
You can't sit him in that segment.
But then to have the stones to turn around and go, hey, do you want to start this week? Yeah. After they lose in Oakland, like, actually, you know what? We're going to name you the starter.
Yeah.
Dude. No. The answer is no.
I don't think any team will be happier to see this season over than the New York Giants. I got to say, they got to be thinking draft after they get a new GM in place and just get going and just wipe away the horrible PR mess that is this season.
I am excited to read the paper tomorrow, though.
Oh, the New York papers are going to be...
They're going to explode. So if anything else, it'll be a full comic section, I'm sure, which is front to back Giants.
Without question.
It'll be split between Yankees and Giants news.
I don't even think the Yankees news is going to be... It'll be like a quick byline compared to like the full... like there might be like a whole special edition about the Eli debacle. That's the only way you can describe it.
For sure.
Oakland, like you said, very inconsistent, and they showed up, and now the West is getting very interesting. I don't know the status of Amari Cooper, though.
Concussion, kind of week to week.
So if they get him back and he's playing at a high level, you got to think Oakland could sneak in there. The Chargers, though, if they keep their winning ways, that's going to be another team to watch. Kansas City's got a lot more questions to answer. That seat just got very, very hot.
I know we talked about it last week, too, when you're looking over the shoulder for Patrick Mahone, and then they come out and score 35 points in the losing effort, and it's like Alex Smith is like, hey, man, don't bench me. I threw for almost 400 yards and 4 touchdowns, so don't bench me. Yeah, it's not my problem.
Yeah, what else could I do?
Yeah, Patrick Mahomes not going to do any bebetter than that.
Yeah, I'm sure Andy Reid is saying, like, hey, the offense is clicking, the defense. I mean, it's hard to say. There's just so many uncertainties involving that team right now.
My lock is that the last 5 games this year are going to be pretty damn interesting for everybody. So
absolutely,
absolutely. How'd you do this week though?
Well, my lock was Oakland, and so I was good there. And my leap, hey, I gotta circle the wagons with my team. Oh. I know as I'm sitting next to a notorious Patriots fan in Frederick Theodore.
Yes, so we leave Pat at work. And we bring in Mr. Belichick actually wearing the hoodie himself.
Yes, this is a conspiracy against me, and I'm the host of the show.
He's wearing the hoodie.
Yes, he's wearing the hoodie, and he's just like, oh, yeah, don't mind me. I'm just going to come on the show first time. Just let's talk Patriots football.
Yeah, for a moment there, I thought we were watching WrestleMania.
I tell you, that whole ending sequence. All right, well, I'll just start off the beginning. Tyrod throwing that interception first drive of the game right in the red zone, that was crippling.
I thought you could get a good start, though, because they look good.
They look
going right down the
field.
And then I don't know where he threw that ball, but I'm thinking before he threw it, I'm like, man, if Buffalo can put the pressure right here at home, make a statement on first drive, and then that I don't know where he was throwing, but
I didn't even see a receiver in that vicinity, and I'm sitting there just screaming, going like, "Are you serious? Like, really, this is happening?"
Yep.
And the Patriots, the one thing with the Patriots, and I will give the devil their due every time. To beat New England, you have to play an almost perfect game. You have to take advantage of the opportunities that are given to you, and you have to find a way to keep Brady off the field. I thought the game plan coming out that first drive, we're running the ball. We killed almost half the clock in the first quarter.
Yeah, you guys took control of the clock very, very good.
Yeah. I thought, okay, maybe, just maybe, those wagons are circling just a little faster than usual.
They're outside of Orchard Park.
I think the turning point was when the refs gave New England that first down, and they were half yard short, and the coach didn't notice it, and he had a mental error.
Well, I think it was just you have a first year coach going up against arguably the greatest coach of all time, and I think it was just one that it's a rookie mistake that caught him.
Yeah,
and this will be a learning experience for him. And I think going into the first 3 quarters, I thought Buffalo played as well as they could. They stopped Gronkowski from really taking off. But the problem is when your offense is on the field for a very limited amount of time, your defense is going to get tired. And it showed in the fourth quarter. That's when New England took full advantage. Albeit the whole incident with Gronkowski just kind of was boiling over. I know that they were playing very physical, and it's a high emotional game.
It's just a boneheaded move on him. He knows better than that.
Yeah, it was a boneheaded move. It was a cheap shot. I don't think, though, he meant to hit him in the head. I think he just didn't realize his own size as he's going in and hitting him. Nevertheless, it was a cheap shot. The NFL did suspend him today for 1 game. I think that's the right move. And, in his actions, the punishment fit the crime. And it's going to be very interesting to see when these two teams play in a couple weeks up in Foxborough. Is there going to be a more physical game coming out from Buffalo because they're going to be fired up about what happened? I think so. Is the outcome going to change? Debatable. It all depends. I mean, Tyrod is currently out with a knee injury. I don't know at this present time what the extent is. If it's Peterman as center or as quarterback, who knows what you're going to get. I think he looked good when he came in. He was moving him right down the field. But going against Tom Brady, you got to play flawless. And we'll see what happens next time. Let us know what you think. How was your locks? How was your leaps? What was your NFL week like? We're going to take a quick break here on the ODPH. Come back, talk a little New York Yankees baseball. We're now on iTunes. That's right. The Ocho Duro Parlay Hour is now on iTunes. So download, rate, and subscribe. Spread the word, and thank you for listening to the Ochadoro Parlay Hour.
I'm the street light guiding you home. Avoid the wrong step into dark.
Back for another segment here on the ODPH this week. A lot of moves happening in the Bronx. Kind of some scary moves, if you will. So who better to break it down than our resident horror expert? You heard him on the Entertainment Edition, and if not, you need to go download that episode right away. Give it up for Mike C. from I Am Horror.
Thanks for having me back.
No problem, Mike. Thank you for coming on. Mike is a huge New York Yankees fan, so Mike, what was your reaction to the big news this week of Aaron Boone taking over the managerial duties of your New York Yankees?
Not happy.
Break it down for us.
Yeah, I mean, there weren't a lot of options. A lot of guys that interviewed. Of everybody that did, he would have been my last choice. But it became very clear to me that Brian Cashman, who I am the least, he's the least favorite person of mine. He was looking for a puppet. He was looking for somebody he could underpay and that he could completely control that was going to be a yes man. And that's what I see happening there.
See, my only argument about Boone getting the job, I don't really understand it. Because it is one thing if you have played the game of baseball, and he did have a pretty decent career. But what do you know about managing a bullpen? You've never been a manager on the professional level. You've commentated many games. But what was your sales pitch to Cashman and Company about getting the job? I'm a little lost at it, and I'll bring it up to the panel. What's your take on Boone getting the job in the Bronx?
Oh, it's pretty simple. He's Aaron effing Boone. Mic drop, done. Seal the deal. It was either that or Beltran.
No,
he didn't want Beltran, so there you go.
I don't think it was going to be Beltran. I don't think there was any chance of that happening.
Why? How could this How could this not work? Look at Jason Kidd switching to NBA. He was never a manager. Now look at him.
Okay, the NBA is slightly different than Major League Baseball.
All right, so there's twice as many games. Next.
Oh, get out of here with that nonsense. Frederick, you got a take on this?
I really don't see it. I don't see it happen. I think he is a puppet, and I think it's going to be a disaster if the team doesn't have a leader.
Who's your team again?
The Red Sox.
Oh, okay, there it is.
No,
just so we want to clarify.
But even if a Red Sox fan is agreeing with us that this is not a good move.
I thought he would like it for that reason. That it's not a good move.
I'm excited to watch it. But, I mean, you got Aaron Judge, Sanchez. I mean, you got a stunning lineup there, and you need someone to manage it.
And here's my thing with this. Of all of those candidates, one, everybody on the planet knew Rob Thompson wasn't going to get the job. He's gone, but he had been with the team for 28 years, I believe.
Yeah, I believe he just left to go to the Phillies organization.
But of all the finalists, honestly, I would have taken Beltran over Boone. Same experience, but he was the more respected guy in the league. However, of all of those guys, Hensley Mullins, 3 world championships as a coach.
I agree.
Studied under Bruce Bochy, one of the best coaches on the planet, best managers on the planet. And there's your guy. And to me, that tells me Cashman would have probably had to pay him more, and he wouldn't have been somebody that may have been as controllable.
See, I just don't understand if you're going to get rid of Girardi, who had a very long and successful tenure in the Bronx, that you didn't have somebody lined up and that was your guy. Because it almost kind of sounds like you're saying, I wouldn't say exactly a puppet, but I think that Boone is going to be kind of a low-risk Band-Aid, if you will, until the next guy comes up. Because I have a weird theory about it. And the theory is I think they're waiting for Don Mattingly's contract to run out in Miami. And they're going to try making a run for him.
Maybe. I don't know that I would agree with that either, though. He hasn't proven to be that great of a manager in the majors, really.
I think he's had some success, but I think bringing him back to the organization I think would be a good look.
And it would look good. It'd be a good PR move.
Yeah, and I think that if you were not, like, they must have either had their eye on somebody and they didn't get him, or he didn't apply for the job, or they're waiting to do another move. Because I think with Girardi is a very emotional manager. He's very fiery. And if you talk to most Yankee fans, there's either one opinion of him if you really like him or you don't. I never really had an issue with him. I know they've made some kind of questionable
Very
calls in the game.
questionable.
Yeah, that have been very high risk, high reward.
Yeah, some boneheaded moves. And the thing that he did with resting players when they'd be ice cold, finally get hot, he'd have to put them on the bench, he'd cool them off. He would do the same thing with pitching. He would overuse them. He made a lot of boneheaded moves, and I think that he went into business for himself when Cashman wanted to control him, because that's apparently the game now. The analytics guys are running the show. The managers are just there to carry out the operation.
And it's kind of a weird thing. I mean, I've seen it in some other organizations too, and it's just kind of, why do you have a manager there if you're going to have somebody overseeing, stepping over them and not letting them do their job? I don't understand that. But you see that in many sports. You don't see that in just baseball.
Yeah.
True. And I think if you're going to have a manager, you have to let them manage. I mean, otherwise, why do you even have that position? It should just be absorbed into the GM position or whoever you're letting run that team. I don't understand it from that aspect, because with Girardi, like I've already said, he's had a proven track record of winning, whether you love him or not. And if you're going to get rid of him for whatever reason, your backup plan is grabbing an analyst who has never managed in the majors. Now, he must have had a heck of a sales pitch to get this. I'm not saying it's not gonna work, but going in, doing the straight up eye test of background and experience, this is a very risky move.
Very risky. And here's what everybody keeps saying about the guy. I don't even think he's coached a Little League team in his life, but they keep saying what a nice guy he is. What a great guy. Well, he's not there to be a nice guy to the players. He's there to manage a team. They don't need a buddy. They need somebody that can win them a championship.
I will say this, though. If they're looking for somebody that is the 180 of Girardi,
they found him.
He's probably the guy.
Yeah.
If that's what they were going for. But you have such a young team that's on the rise, with Aaron Judge being your centerpiece, that is switching styles really the smart move to do with such a young team.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, it's a catch-22.
My question with Boone, though, is how short is his leash if this team fails? Because they were a step away from the World Series, and if they don't even come close, how short is that leash before he's like, this team is right there.
Knowing Cashman, knowing Brian Cashman, he'll probably be there for the next decade, no matter what he does.
No, honestly, I think if let's say he comes out the gate, horrible April, wins maybe 3 games. I'm going to take the most extreme look at it. The New York media starts tearing him apart. Starts tearing into Cashman. They don't show any progress. They show regress. How do you think that PR nightmare is going to happen? And how do you think he's going to recover from it?
But he's a nice guy.
But that's the thing. I mean, to be
a real nice guy.
He's a real nice guy. The team's struggling. He's going to
say all the right
He's going to motivate him. It's going to be awesome. Just cheer him up. It's going to be good.
Well, I mean, that's the thing. But it's one thing to be a nice guy, and hey, that's great. But to be in the New York media, who, let's face it, no matter what sport you play in New York, it is tough to be an athlete or involved in a professional sports organization in that market.
Agreed. And that's the biggest market of all of them, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Jets, Giants, Nets, Knicks, the Mets, you name
Rangers.
it. The Rangers, the Yankees are the big shots.
Oh,
they're the ones that get the most scrutiny. They're the ones that get the most coverage. I don't care what anybody says.
And the media has chewed up players and spit them out, and they've never recovered from it.
You're right.
I mean, there is notable cases if you want to go down the line.
And if he is a nice guy, that's what they're going to do to him. You're right.
And I'm sure he's like, well, I played in the Bronx, and yeah, he is a legend for hitting a game-winning home run off Tim Wakefield of the Boston Red Sox.
Oh man, don't take that.
I see Frederick Theodore here, just sitting smiling, just like, yep, I knew you were going to bring it up. But no, but in all honesty, he is a Yankee legend in that aspect. But does that justify giving him the reins to a team that was one game away from going to a World Series, that was completely not projected to even be close to playoff ready?
Right, and that's where they could have used somebody like Mullins, which traditionally, you look at baseball, anybody that's been right on the brink, let's go back to the Red Sox. It was a Grady Little.
Mm-hmm.
When he was there, they were how close? They didn't get the job done. They fired him. Who did they bring in? Francona. What did they do?
Yeah,
they became legendary. They broke the curse. They took it to a guy that knew how to manage. Of those guys, of those candidates, and none of them, in my opinion, were even all that great. But why did we not go to Mullins, who has the most experience there. You know, he's never managed, but he's a Yankee. He came up a Yankee. He was one of their top prospects in the late 80s, early 90s. But he didn't pan out, and he's turned out to be a darn good coach on a winning team, on a winning franchise.
And I'm just curious. I mean, I'm trusting Cashman on the process. I just wanted to hear more than, oh, he's a nice guy. Yeah. That's great. But if you want to win in arguably the toughest media market, you're going to have thicker skin than you probably had anywhere else. And granted, he was a player, and I'm sure he survived the media then. But at the same token, it's a lot different when you're a member of the team than the captain of the ship, so to speak, making the moves that are going to be costing wins and losses.
Agreed. And now that I've got an open mic, just to get this out there, anybody that's my friend on Facebook, just my regular personal page, knows how I feel about the guy. But this is a reflection on Brian Cashman. This guy should not be the GM. He would have been fired after the 2008 season if George was still running things. I know he was still alive. He was at the end of his life, but he would have been gone then if he was still running the show. I don't think Hal Steinbrenner has any care in the world about this team. He just wants to see the money coming in. George was a fan. He was up in that owner's box. The only time you've ever seen Hal at a game is when they're retiring somebody's number or doing something special. He doesn't care.
Hal is a different owner than his dad was.
I agree.
Way different.
And he has let Cashman go way too long. This guy is the same guy that brought in all the washed-up has-beens. We're talking Randy Johnson when he was, 40? Carl Pavano, Javier Vasquez twice.
He has made a lot of questionable moves. There is no doubt about that. But Cashman has been, and I'm saying this, I'm kind of very 50-50 with Cashman personally. I think he's made some great moves. I think he's made some bad moves. Has he done enough to survive the storm? Debatable. But this is going to probably be his make or break. I honestly think so, because if you have the team that is on the cusp of winning and going to the World Series, and then who knows what happens there, and you immediately cut the manager and go get a big X factor that you don't know what you're going to get. I mean, Boone might prove us all wrong. And if so, I'll be the first one on here to say I was wrong.
I would too.
Yeah. But this is such a big X factor. Who knows what you're going to get? And going into the other big story of the week, who was the big player that decided not to come to New York?
Shohei Ohtani.
And he's staying away. It's kind of like he's staying away from all the big markets, too. I think he's Seattle bound.
Yes and no. I think he's also going to end up in Seattle because it's an American League team that has the DH opening. With that being said, I think he's either going to end up there, possibly Texas, because they have the most money to spend. Keep in mind, this is still there's still money to be made here, no matter what he's thinking. They have the most money. Or he may end up in San Diego. I don't think the Dodgers are going to get him. I don't think the Angels are going to get him. He seems to be shying away from those monster markets. But I think Seattle's going to end up with him.
And I think he'd be a good fit in Seattle, too.
I do, too.
Yeah, I think so as well. Let us know what you think. We want to thank Mike C. from I Am Horror. You can find him on Facebook. Hit him up. Let him know what you think. I mean, if this is the next horror movie coming out of any major studio production, I don't know. We'll see. But definitely hit him up on his Facebook page. We'll post a link up on our page as well. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back here on the ODPH.
Hey, I'm Mike Pappy from Rye Bread, and you're listening to the ODPH.
Coming back on the ODPH, talking a little college football. This week, we had the final four teams for the playoffs get finalized. Clemson at number 1, Oklahoma at number 2, Georgia at number 3, Alabama at number 4. Frederick Theodore, what is your thoughts on this?
Oh, this weekend was wild. I mean, you couldn't ask for anything more exciting. And it showed, just the competition and everything that was at stake. It really shook everything up, and it was really exciting to watch. It was good football.
Absolutely. I think this weekend was definitely a more crazy weekend than we've seen in for probably most of the season. Wisconsin, Ohio State, definitely a nail-biter. And Ohio State, unfortunately, is on the outside looking in.
But you know what? I applaud the consistency. I don't agree with it because I don't like Alabama being at 4, and we've discussed this, and Coach supports it, and we're all on the same page there.
Yeah, we all are.
However, if Ohio State were to have jumped Alabama and taken 4, anyone who's a Penn State fan should be furious because they would have gotten hosed last year for the same thing.
Yeah,
they won the Big Ten, and then they got hosed, and they got stuck at 5. So, for what it's worth, the consistency there is. I applaud that in regards to. If they'd put Ohio State over Alabama, then anyone who's a Penn State fan should be pissed beyond belief because they should not.
It doesn't make a lot of sense on how it's divvied up. But in the same token, though, yeah, they are being consistent in Alabama. Say what you will, they got in. Do I think they're going to beat Clemson? No way.
No way.
No.
And I love that the committee did that too because you know what? They, as we've discussed, and everybody knows my frustration, Alabama has played
nobody.
Right. And the only people they've played, they've lost to, as they should have. So I think it's an ultimate test that, you know what, if you're going to get in, we're going to give you Clemson right off the bat because, if they were to have played Georgia, I don't know. Annoyingly, I'd probably take Alabama on that one. But if they played Oklahoma, that they would get trucked. And Clemson, I don't think they have a chance. So I think it's great that they're, you know what, we're going to put you in because we think that you're at that level, but we're going to make you prove it by playing Clemson right off the bat and not make it. Final.
And I think that's about as fair as you can make it, too.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, because if Alabama is as good as they like to say they were, and there was a lot of campaigning between them and Ohio State this week, too, before the rankings came out, and everybody was saying, well, my wins. This is the easiest way to describe it, because, like you said, they're being consistent, because I know Penn State fans would have rioted if Ohio State got in.
Trust me, as we've talked about, I know some fans down close to Penn State, they would have exploded. Like, they would be boycotting every game if they'd given Ohio State even half a chance at this playoff. So it's smart for the committee to stick to what they're doing, at least in this 4-team setup. Still doesn't change my belief they should make it probably 6.
No, I agree. No, it should. You need to add more teams in. I don't know how you do it with the bowl breakdown and which ones count for which games. That would have to be something that works out. But I think you should. I think you should give your first 2 teams a bye. And have the winners face them. Yeah, you need to, because this way you're going to have controversy no matter what. Because if you go to 6 teams, that 7th team is going to argue where was our shot. And when you have that happen, it's going to get messy no matter how you do it.
Can we just talk about the debacle that was Miami though? Like this is exactly why I love the fact that Alabama has to play Clemson, because I'm sure you all saw that was a murder. That was a let's not take our foot off. Let's make a statement, an explanation point as far as why we're number 1, and you better be ready to play some football because I tell you what, damn.
Yeah, they definitely took it. They took it to Miami, and you can say what you want about the turnover chain, but Clemson just completely snatched that and just ran with it.
And that was a team that showed you we're playing four quarters. Mm-hmm. If you don't like what we're doing, then you better stop it because we're going to prove why we're number 1 and why we're the best team in the country. So
absolutely, there is no doubt about that happening at all. None. And then looking on the other side of the ball, Oklahoma. I think your winner of Oklahoma, Georgia, is probably going to be your national champion. It's going to be a tough one to say, but I think Oklahoma is playing such a high level right now. It's going to be one that's going to be fun to watch.
Well, you've got the Heisman in Oklahoma, so it'll be interesting to see. I mean, if you're looking at the games, I'm hoping Alabama just gets trucked, run over, because I mean Clemson's a really good team. They showed it because Miami was definitely no slouch, but that was just a massacre. That was. So I'm excited though. I think watching Clemson truck Alabama will be good. I think you've got Oklahoma and Clemson, which deservingly are probably the 2 best teams in the country, and rightfully so. That's why they're ranked 1, 2. So I'm looking forward to that title game.
Yeah, that's going to be a fun one to watch. I mean, I think overall, I think the committee did the right thing, and I think they're setting it up that you're going to have the best games possible. I mean, obviously, there's going to be some teams that are going to be crying they didn't get in, but at the same token, this is why wins and losses matter so much in college football. So much.
Although, shout out to the Velcro guy.
Yeah.
Awesome. MVP of that game.
Yeah.
How clutch is that? I've never seen that in my life.
I have never seen that.
That was so awesome.
You saw that, right?
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
Absolutely.
That was amazing.
Dude, I'm like, first of all, he's got buckets of these rubber pellets. And I'm like, when you saw it live, I'm like, what? what the heck happened? Like, you're sitting there looking like, is that the grass that got ripped up? I thought that was turf. Oh, no, it is.
Yeah.
That's just called making a goal line stand right there. And I'm like, oh, shoot.
And he definitely he earned his paycheck that night.
Oh, he got his 10 minutes of fame.
Yeah.
That was so great.
There's no question of that.
It was so awesome.
Let us know what you think. Did the committee get it right with the 4 teams involved in the College Football Championship Series? We want to know. Hashtag ODPH. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back. We're now on iTunes. That's right. The Ocho Duro Parlay Hour is now on iTunes. So download, rate, and subscribe. Spread the word, and thank you for listening to the Ocho Duro Parlay Hour.
I'm the street light guiding you home. Avoid the wrong step into dark.
Coming back from break here on the ODPH. That's right. I've taken over the mic because I've got a little something. We're talking a little UFC 218. I unfortunately did not catch most of this card. I had some other things going on. However, our host, Ken M in the building. He was there. He had it going on. Hit me with it. What happened?
You know we don't really miss UFC events on here, and shout out to the local MMA scene, Crow's Nest, Common Man, Vince Iatoli, who's going to be appearing on the Entertainment Edition this week. This card was a surprise to me of how solid it was. Because the main event was Max Holloway against Jose Aldo, who came in to fill in for Frankie Edgar, who was injured for the 145-pound featherweight title. But the overall card itself was a sleeper. It had a Fight of the Year candidate with Alex Cowboy Oliveira and Yancy Medeiros. I'm probably butchering his last name. I'm sorry. But that fight, which you can catch on most social media platforms because it was on the prelims on Fox, they were showing it straight up rock'em sock'em.
Are we missing chicklets?
Yes. There was some bows getting thrown. It was out of control. Yancy wound up winning that. I think Oliveira had a broken nose at one point. They were just seriously not going down without a fight. It got me amped up for it because if there's a good undercard, chances are you're going to have a great main card. And we did. Tisha Torres came back to fight Michelle Watterson at the start of the main card. I'm sorry because I get too amped up. I get mumbling my words. Tisha looked good coming back. I know she was calling out Rose Namajunas for a title shot. We'll wait and see on that. But Tisha looked good coming back. And then we had the fight I was excited about. Justin Gaethje versus Eddie Alvarez. Now, they were coaches on this season's Ultimate Fighter. Not the greatest season of the Ultimate Fighter, but the two fighters in this bout, this was my match to watch. Because who wins? We all win. Gaethje has one button, and that's forward. I don't think I've ever seen him go for a takedown. He throws leg kicks like nobody's business, and he just stays in the pocket and exchanges.
He's looking to see some little birds going on.
Yeah, he
swirling around the face.
Yeah, he was undefeated before this fight. He comes up against Eddie Alvarez, who has quietly been, recovering from the Conor McGregor loss, and he's been piecing it together. I mean, if you've seen him before he came to the UFC, Eddie is a straight up warrior. He does his thing, and they said we weren't going to go for a takedown, and they didn't. This was straight up almost like a boxing match, and it would throw in with kicks.
I'm going to put my fist through your face if it's the last thing that I do in this fight.
Yes. And they were going.
I will not show you my ground and pound. I will not show you my technical skills in Muay Thai. I don't think so. I'm going to put my hand old school through your face.
Yeah. This was about as brutal as you could get. It was awesome. I was marking out. I know I was live tweeting for this ODPH on Twitter, and I'm just like, this is amazing. This is like when you want to see two guys that just bring it and did not hold back at all in any which way, shape, or form. And Gaethje just went down in the third round. He took a nasty knee to the face, and it just finally his body gave out. But Alvarez was landing body shot after body shot. I don't know how he did it because he literally had one leg. Gaethje turned his other leg purple.
Oh, leg kicks for days.
Yes. It looked like Aldo, but it wasn't Aldo. And he was just landing, and it's just going back and forth. It was a great fight. It was one that was like, okay, whoever comes on after this has really got to step it up. And unfortunately, it was a wrestler versus striker with Henry Cujo against Sergio Pettis in the 125-pound division. Cujo did what he needed to do. He took him down and imposed his will. Not the most exciting fight in comparison, but he did what he needed to do for the W.
It wasn't a lay and pray.
Kind of was.
Ugh.
Especially
the worst.
Well, yeah, but it's just he was imposing his will. I mean, the minute it went to the ground, it's kind of like, he's working. Sergio is trying to work off his back, and it just never got anything going. I don't want to say it was a bad fight, but it was kind of like you come off such a great fight, and then you're really amped up, and then just kind of strategically it made sense.
Right.
Then we get to Alistair Overeem versus Francis Ngannou.
Well done. Well done.
Thank you. I hope I'm pronouncing that name right because I don't want him hitting me as hard as he hit Overeem.
That may have been. I mean, I didn't see much of the fight. Actually, the entire card, but this fight in particular didn't really have much to it. It was pretty short. I actually felt the shock at my apartment when you see a head snap back. It's almost like an NFL protocol. He'd have taken a concussion test right on the spot and probably wouldn't be allowed to play again because that was really bad.
I'm telling you, Stipe Miocic was probably freaking out as pretty much every single fighter and fight fan I knew, because knocking out Overeem with that kind of punch first round.
One punch. Just
punch.
One hard left that comes around. Cole cocks him. Head snaps back. Almost comes off.
Yeah.
From what it looks like. And he's out cold before his body even collapses on the ground. And then the hammer fist he lays down may have been even harder than the punch he threw to knock him out in the first place.
Dare I say, it reminded me eerily of when Henderson knocked out Bisping.
Oh,
I will admit, I saw that. It was like, oh my God. He just and Overeem was out cold. Like, I don't even think he knew where he was for probably the rest of the night.
And the commentators made it even worse after the fight. I mean, catching some of the highlights that I saw, and they're going, if you're nauseous or queasy, do not watch this knockout because it's going to hurt your face. And you're not even the one taking it, but it's going to hurt your face.
Yeah.
Like, oh, God, this is good.
I mean, this was just insane. And going in, there's always there's hype around guys that come in and they're winning defiantly and very quickly. I'm telling you, Miocic had better work on his wrestling. I don't know. I don't really know how you exactly stop him right now because Francis is just mowing people down in that heavyweight division.
And reading up, like you were saying before, and we discussed it, it's like leading up to the fight, and it's, he's almost like, it kind of reminded me of like Chuck Liddell. Like, you knew he had one thing, and he had that fist always ready to swing, and you knew you were going to get hit by it. Mm-hmm. It was just a matter of time before you actually felt the wrath that was Chuck Liddell's right hand.
Yeah.
But, I mean, it was the same kind of thing. Like, you just knew you were going to get punched in the face right here by Francis, and you were just kind of anticipating and praying, like, pushing him up against the cage, trying to get him on the ground. You were just hoping, you were delaying the inevitable, and it didn't take very long. No,
he definitely did quick work, and the title match is now inevitable. I don't see there's anybody else in the heavyweight division that's going to leapfrog over him to get to Miocic. That's going to be a good fight. And I'm telling you, Stipe had better bring his AAA plus game because I think this is going to be his toughest challenge to date. It's a winnable fight for him, but I think he's got to somehow get him to the ground because I tell you, if he gets into a boxing match with him, he's going to lose and lose very quickly.
I mean, he may. Hopefully, he takes the like you said, the ground and pound approach, not the I'm going to beat you at your own game approach, because I don't think he's got that kind of power.
No, I think
unless there's something I don't know.
I think if any coach ever tries to talk him into that, he is in for a very long night, and we're going to say and new very quickly. Main event of the night, Max Holloway, like we said, defending his 145-pound title against Jose Aldo, who came in off injury. Tough weight cut. I don't know if you saw any of the highlights of that.
Yes. Caught a little bit.
Aldo, I'm telling you, he needs to go to 155 if he's going to keep fighting in the UFC. I think the weight cut is just getting to him too much. to me, he didn't look like the same fighter coming out the gate. And it just kind of seemed like, not saying he was going through the motions, because I don't think that was the case. But usually Aldo starts a little slow, but he starts slamming leg kicks like nobody's business. He didn't really come out the gate doing that. He was kind of really pacing and trying to condition himself. Holloway was landing punches, and then just third round, he just took it. And like I said, Aldo just didn't look like the same fighter. I don't know if he's just mentally, still kind of thinking about the Conor McGregor knockout, and that's kind of haunting him maybe a little bit. I don't know. But it seems like the weight cut is too much. I think if he moved up to 155, I think that's probably the best move for him right now. And now I guess the question, Jay, is, okay, Holloway just beat the champion twice. What's next for him, you think?
I mean, this whole debate. I mean, so it kind of boils back down to McGregor, though.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, is that your next move? Although you're going to have to pay McGregor $150 million to come back and fight, because there's that whole, I'm not fighting for less than this because I got this and I don't have to, and you need me more than I need you. But it kind of puts a halt. So
I think you have to. If you're the UFC, you keep moving until McGregor wants to come back. I don't think you can wait around for him by any means. And I mean, he is your big money fight whenever he decides to come back.
I mean, I feel like that fight would be a good one.
Oh yeah, him and Holloway, absolutely.
For the title, absolutely. But again, it's a matter of, it's with Conor now, it's all about money.
Mm-hmm.
It's, you need me, again, like I said, you need me more than I need you. So you either give me a blank checkbook and let me fill it out, and I will headline, 222. But if not, then you're never going to see him again. Yeah, and then you're just going to have to make.
Well, your interns become permanent champions, and they just kind of.
Right, but then but like you said, then where do you go?
Well, that's the question now. That Frankie Edgar, if he's healthy enough, obviously, I think you make that match against Max Holloway. I know Holloway was saying that he wants some new flavor, he wants to fight some new challengers. I mean, the 145-pound division is definitely stacked. There's some guys. I know there's a big fight coming between Cub Swanson and Brian Ortega this weekend, I believe, on UFC fight card. So that one could be another title contender coming in there. It really is kind of up in the air, because without Conor, if Conor decides he wants to come back, I think obviously they make that fight.
So did they take both from him?
I believe so, because you have to. He's not fighting either.
Right.
I know that there's interim title fights coming down the pike, and I mean Holloway. I think he had to relinquish one of the belts, and I think 145 he's done with, because I think it's too much of a weight cut.
Sure.
And for Holloway, I mean, the sky's the limit. He's probably looked the best he's looked. He's just young. I believe he's 25 years old. He's got a lot of fight time left in him, and for that division, he's going to have some challengers. I mean, Frankie is always going to be a perennial favorite, but I know Father Time is catching up with him. I think he could still go, and I think he'll still give a good fight. Probably lose the first round, but that's what he does. But you can't never count him out of a fight. And then, like I said, between the fight between Ortega and Cub, that's going to be a big one too. And going with the rest of the division, you never know who's going to pop up there. I mean, this is the great thing about MMA. Is just if somebody gets on a hot streak, you never know how they're going to leap in there. I think the one promising thing I did hear this weekend, and I'm trying to get confirmation, is they are going to do the super fight between Dillashaw and Mighty Mouse.
Oh, baby.
I'm excited for that one.
Oh, we're going to get that card?
Yeah.
That'll be a card.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I think the only one we're not sure, because of Excite Wrestling, which is having a card on December 30th, is where we'll be watching that. So it might not be in the hallowed halls of the ODPH studio, but you never know. Crazier things have happened, but there's a lot of stacked cards coming down the pike, and 218 definitely, you have to say, was one of them. 2 Fight of the Year candidates, definitely worth checking out if you have the opportunity to. We're going to come back with our local minute, close out the show here on the ODPH.
Down.
Checking the local minute here on the ODPH. Binghamton Devil Hockey. Binghamton's got a little work to do. Currently in last place, 21 games played, 7, 11, and 3. Splitting the past weekend with Providence. They got a game Wednesday night as we are taping on Monday, and they're coming back with the Teddy Bear Toss Friday night, weekend of games. Definitely worth checking out if you're able to go to the arena and go support the Devils, because you know they're trying hard to get out of the last place and work their way back up into playoff contention. Binghamton Bulldog action. 4-2 overall. Division record is 3-1. Coming off a big win this past Sunday against Wilkes-Barre. They won 122 to 111. Finally coming back home on the 16th against the Reading Wizards, 7 p.m. Check out binghamtonbulldogs.com for ticket information. We're closing the show out, as we always do, with our locks and leaps, and we want to give a special thanks to our guest, Frederick Theodore from Thirsty Threads, Inc.
Thank you, gentlemen. It's been a pleasure.
So, Fred, if anybody wants to get in touch with you, how do they get a hold of you?
I'm on Facebook at Thirsty Threads Inc., and that's with a K. And then I'm also on Instagram, Sir Thirsty86 with 2 Y's.
And I believe that's the same as your Twitter?
Yes, that's correct.
Definitely hit him up on the social media. He's the one responsible for our T-shirts and our clothing line. We can't thank him enough for the contributions he's done to the show. And who better to start our locks and leaps than our guest?
All right. I have, for my lock, I have the Pats over the Fin. I think the Patriots just have too much talent for the Dolphins to take. And then for my leap, I have the Baltimore Ravens over the Steelers Sunday Night Football.
Fair enough. Going out on a limb there, the NFC, or AFC, man, I've been saying that all the show. The AFC North is definitely a bruiser bowl.
Yeah, it's just, this game is going to be gritty, tough, physical. There's a couple fights usually.
Yeah.
They hate each other.
Yeah, you want to talk about a heated rivalry. That is the one that you think about when you talk to Steeler fans and you talk to Ravens fans. Those teams do not like each other. They're going to definitely be bringing it. It's going to be a fun one to watch Sunday night. JR, who you got this week?
So, contrary to our guest, as I've previously stated in the last couple of shows, I will be at the Steelers-Ravens game this week. So, shocker there. I will be there Sunday night. I have tickets. I will be in the end zone, actually. So, if you see me, it's kind of hard to miss, I'm sure. Rocking the Thirsty Threads Inc. apparel. No doubt I will be down there. So, I'm going to take the Steelers as a lock because I'm going to be there. So, big game. They have to stay ahead of the Patriots if they want the number 1 seed in the AFC. So, you can't stumble here. So, I'm thinking Steelers probably pretty big. It's going to be one of those cold nights in Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
Rivalry game, so you know they're going to get up for it. And you know you've got a Patriots on a short week next week. So, I'm thinking it's going to be pretty epic. For my leap, I wish it was different, but it's not. So I'm going to take the Browns.
There you go.
There's no different. I'm still taking them. This time they're at home. I like it. Also, reason this pick has... Okay, I'm going to give a little backstory. This pick to me means a little bit more. Reason being, they are playing the Packers. Okay? As an NFC guy, obviously everybody knows me for Skull Nation. Number 1 team. Number 1. Think about number 1. Right? I didn't stutter. We were, by the way, another side note, because I'm going to go on a little mini rant right here. We were dogs in Atlanta. So whoever's making these spreads, enjoy them, because you're losing a lot of money. And you're foolish to bet against my Vikings, because Skull Nation reigns proud. And they're going to beat the Panthers, so take that as a lock, too. I'll give you a double lock. Anyway, going back to what I was saying. Everybody's talking about Aaron Rodgers coming back. Oh, he's coming back in 2 weeks. Oh, they're in playoff contention. They're going to Cleveland in a trap game. And Cleveland's going to lay the dog pound on them. And you're going to get Brent hardly any good to take a loss in Cleveland. And they're out. And you're going to get the 1-12 Brownies. Yes. And then you don't have to worry about this Aaron Rodgers coming back. You don't have to worry about them chasing the playoffs because they're out. They're gone. Forget it. You just book it up for next year.
Dare I say,
save it.
If they lose to the Browns, Aaron Rodgers says, no, I'll be back next season.
Oh, yeah. If they lose to the Browns, they're out.
Yeah, if they're not contention, he says.
Yeah, they're not going to. No. If he could. Okay. Their last 2 games are against the Lions and the Vikings. No. And I'm sorry, but even though that game that Minnesota is going to play is in Green Bay, he's not going to want to play that game. Especially if they're out of it. Because what if he gets hurt again?
It's a very valid argument.
So,
no question of that.
When the Brownies lay the wood to Green Bay at home, you're going to hear the song being played through the loudspeakers that you've been talking about, Ken.
Oh, yes.
They will rain rain through Cleveland. It'll be bellowing through the streets as they get their first win over the Packers.
If they get their win over the Packers, yeah, that city will be partying like they won the championship when.
Oh,
LeBron
yeah.
did.
It'll be Christmas for them.
It's going to be great.
Without question.
So book it. That's my leap. Brownies. Take them. 1-12.
My lock this week, I got to go with Frederick Theodore. Pats over Miami. Tom Brady Patriots all know. The Patriots all know Pittsburgh is on their heels for the number 1 seed in the AFC. They got to put the pedal to the metal. It's a rivalry game, sure. Miami, you don't know what you're going to get out of them. And I think that Tom Brady knows this, and I think that they know without Gronkowski, they're going to need a big effort. I think they pull it off. And for my leap, well, we're going to take a little leap. I know I'm going to have Nostradamus yelling at me about this one, but I am taking the Jacksonville Jaguars defense, not their offense, their defense, over Seattle. I think Seattle had such a monster win against Philadelphia this week at home, but they're traveling now to South Florida. I think that Jacksonville's defense is very underrated, and usually Seattle does not play well when they travel east. And I like Leonard Fournette to have a big game if he's healthy enough and playing, which I know he came back last week. So I predict Jacksonville is going to win. Not exactly a barn burner, but I'll say 21-17. I'll even give you points on that one.
Can we just think that Jacksonville is 8-4?
Hey, I told you the preview show.
8-4.
I mean, they have a solid defense.
Their
this year.
defense
It's been amazing.
They are not, and I'm only using this comparison just as great defense, average offense, when the Ravens went to the Super Bowl against the Giants.
I was going to say, if you said the Vikings, I would jump over this computer.
Yeah.
Average offense, my rear.
No.
1 defense.
No,
Case
but
Keenum, the MVP, who should be. I'm going to end my rant before I really lose my cool.
no, but if you look at the comparison though, they're playing now. Granted, the defense that won that Super Bowl was 86 Bears level.
Nasty.
Yeah, this one is nasty in its own right, but not that level. But it's a great defense. The offense in Jacksonville, kind of suspect after Fournette.
Yep.
Which you don't
You
know.
still have Blake Bortles at the helm. I mean,
Which you don't know what you're going to get on them each week. So that's why I say it's average at best because you just don't know.
is the game in London?
That I don't know.
No, it's not. It was a joke because
Okay.
Blake Bortles would throw for 400 yards and 4 touchdowns and humiliate him if they were in London. But they're in Jacksonville, so
Yeah.
he'll be normal Blake Bortles.
Yeah, because I forget. I don't know if they have any more London games.
Not superhuman Blake Bortles.
Yeah. I'm not checking that up on my phone right now.
You're good.
This is what happens when I go ad lib. I'm just trying to go top of my head.
Where's
Sometimes-
the intern?
Yeah, this is where
Where's
I
the
need
intern?
This is where I need Padawan J. Coach Duffy, we hope we will be hearing from him next week. If not, definitely check the blogs on the site. For Mike C. from I Am Horror, check his Facebook page out and let him know what you think about the Yankees moves. Frederick Theodore, Thirsty Threads Inc., for coming on the show. JR, the Sound Guy Galore, and I'm your host, Ken M. Thank you for listening to another edition of the Ocho Duro Parlay Hour. We'll see you next time.